Welcome to Linear 3, Theme 2, The Effects of Mass Communication. Theme 2, Media Effects Theory. We are on page 228. Learning outcome 2.1 is to differentiate between media effect theories in relation to practical examples and scenarios, and to discuss the use and characteristics of stereotypes in the media. Let's get started. In the introduction, when we talk about media effect theories, we're looking at short-term and long-term theories. How the media affects people's behavior and their thinking. We have some examples on page 228 to 229 that can better understand exactly what they mean by this theory. But what they mean by characterizing media effects is the behavioral effects as well as the planned and unplanned effects. This is in the textbook here. You can read through this section and create notes as you go. The media can have a direct effect on people's behavior, but only under extreme circumstances. This is looking at short-term theories. Examples is during war, disaster, or certain adverts designed to encourage buying. So what they're saying that is with short-term sort of domination of always trying to get the media message to the audience in a short span of time, it can have these effects on their behavior. The first one is hypodermic needle theory, which is that the media can inject values, attitudes, and ideas, inject into the individual media user, resulting in particular behavior. The recipient in this theory is seen as a helpless victim of media impact. And we have an example on page 233. The media then has a strong influence on people and society and can have the ability to create moral panic with individuals and groups and how they view certain activities. We have an example at the top of the page of how there was a sort of play about the invasion of planet Earth by warriors from Mars, and the purpose was it to entertain. But when listeners tuned into the radio station, they did not recognize it as a play and then panicked. Therefore, we need to understand that the panic can impact media users' sort of behavior, and that the media can have this effect by injecting values, attitudes, and beliefs. Other examples that they speak here is the changes in legislation on abortion, the death penalty, land distribution, and homosexual marriage. The next theory is the two-step flow theory. Media users selectively expose themselves based on their own knowledge, experience, background, education, and culture, and expectations. The media users expose themselves selectively to media of which they agree, prefer, or understand. Therefore, the group can filter media users' interpretation and experience of the media text. Media users are not passive in this part of the theory, but are members of a structured society. What do people then do with media? Very different to the hypodermic needle theory, which is that the media will inject values and all sorts of values of their own, and in that case, it would cause, at times, maybe mass hysteria. The next theory is the uses and gratifications theory, which is on page 236, and this is talking about the needs of users and the gratifications from media use. The following conclusions are drawn from Divergent, which is that people will use media content to escape from their own reality, their daily work or routine, and therefore this gratification will be an emotional release of relaxation. Personal relations looks at the gratification of the needs for companionship and sociability. Therefore, they see the media content and the fictional characters in that content as their personal friends, creating that parapsychological relationship with the media content. Then lastly is, the third to last is the personal identity. Media is used in relation to personal identity, which is that it's used to explore, challenge, and adjust or confirm their own personal identity of the media user. People will use media content to compare themselves and their situations and values of others. And then lastly is surveillance. The media gratifies the need for information about the immediate and distant world and circumstances. Media users need to get information, and therefore it serves that gratification. We're now going to be moving on to long-term theories. So let's cycle back into what exactly this part of the work is all about. This part of short-term theories is looking that the media will have an impact on people's behavior under extreme and continuous, in the short term, that sort of effect. So the media can have a direct on people's behavior, but only under an extreme circumstance. It can take this effect under three theories, which is the hypodermic needle theory, also known as the magic bullet theory, the two-step flow theory, mediating factors theory, and the uses and gratifications theory. In the hypodermic needle theory, it is quite a theory to even Google and research more about, because it's talking about how the media can inject its own values and then result in affecting people's behavior. The theory does theorize that people should be passive audience. In that case, they just sort of get the information and then have to do whatever they will with it. And we have some good examples here about how the media had made a play through radio, and that people took that as literal content and did create mass hysteria and moral panic. And in that case, the media can have an influence in changing people's values in terms of how they might view abortion or the death penalty and so on. In the two-step flow theory, this is looking how media users, in terms of you and I, are in control of how we interpret that content. And we are going to choose content that we want to choose that's in line with our own preferences. And in that way, when we're choosing media content that is in line with what we want, we can filter out exactly the interpretations that might be put out there. In that case, we are not passive audience, but we are an active audience. Lastly, that we use media content for our own use and gratifications, that it can help us to relax, that we have a parapsychological relationship, that we are like our friends, and that it can also help in terms of confirming and becoming part of our personal identity, and that we need it to receive information. The next part of the work is looking at long-term effect theories. We'll see you in the next video clip.